Lost Heaven was built on smoke and promises, on steel structures and backroom deals, on men who believed that if they worked hard enough or bled enough, the city would eventually reward them. Tommy Angelo didn't grow up dreaming of power. He wasn't chasing legacy or domination. He was a cab driver during the Great Depression, a man trying to stay afloat in a city that chewed people up and spat them into the gutter. His life ran on routine: drive, survive, sleep, repeat. No illusions, no grand ambitions.
You get a lot of time with your thoughts when you're a cabbie.
Then one night, fate revealed a life-changing moment. Two men stumbled into his taxi, bleeding, panicked, hunted. Polly and Sam, members of the Salieri family. Gunshots shattered the streetlights behind them as Morello's men closed in. And in that moment, Tommy had a choice: freeze, flee, or drive. He drove. That single decision dragged him into a world where money spoke louder than morality, where loyalty was currency, and where every reward came with a debt that would eventually be collected.
Me parking on that particular street, taking a break just when Polly and Sam are coming around the corner. What are the odds? It felt like, I don't know, like someone was watching out for us.
Mafia Definitive Edition isn't just a crime story. It's a slow tragedy about how ordinary men compromise themselves one step at a time, until they wake up and no longer recognize who they've become. These are the 5 lessons Tommy Angelo learned from the Salieri family. Lessons about money, mortality, risk, hunger, and loyalty. Lessons that feel uncomfortably relevant in our own world, where ambition is praised but consequences are rarely discussed. The original Mafia was one of my favorite action-adventure games I played in my teenage years. The Definitive Edition has immortalized the beautiful remake it deserved, and brings back to my gaming nostalgia in the early 2000s. If you also love this game, please smash that like button and subscribe to my channel for more video game life inspirations. Lesson 1. Don't flash your money, invest it. By 1932, Tommy Angelo thought he had made it. The gunshots had quieted down. The city wasn't hunting him every night. The crew had money in their pockets and time to kill. For the first time since joining the Salieri family, life felt comfortable, too comfortable. They drank, they laughed, they walked into clubs and bought rounds for strangers, like kings tossing coins from a balcony. Tommy later admitted to Detective Norman that they honestly believed that it was a good year. No big jobs, no big threats, just enjoying the rewards. That illusion didn't last. Because in the Salieri family, when something looks good on the surface, Frank Coletti is usually the first to smell the rot underneath. Frank was the consigliere of the Salieri crime family and Don Salieri's best friend. Before the mission, a visit to the old country, Tommy described how powerful and influential Frank is in the Salieri family.
Back then, everything went through Frank. The plans, the orders, the money. You could get the call day or night.
Frank was a quiet and reserved man. He didn't carry himself loudly like Polly or Sam. But as Tommy said later, money, information, strategy, everything ran through Frank. Frank wasn't muscle, he was the Don's wisest advisor. One afternoon, Tommy found himself driving Frank through the city. Then Frank told him a story to teach him an unforgettable lesson.
Scrap last night, it's no big deal.
I don't care about the bar fight, Tom. I care how it looks when you walk into a club and buy everyone around.
We gotta do something with our dough.
Then blow it at the track on Sunday. Or take a dame to a show, or invest it for Christ's sake.
You want me to become one of those Wall Street boys?
Don't sass me, Tommy. I'm trying to teach you the ropes, so you don't get strangled by them. You ever have a dog, Tom?
Sure. Little mutt when I was a kid.
When I was 8 or 9, before I came over from Sicily, I had this beautiful, skinny Cerneco dell'Etna. Like a little greyhound. Fastest dog you've ever seen. That's how I met the Don. We started setting up races together, betting on her with coins and rifle shells. There wasn't another dog that could catch her. She never lost. Until the day she did. We were only out a pocket knife, but I never saw the Dawn so angry.
She got old on you?
No. Pregnant. She went into heat, got out of the yard, and every dog in town had a turn. You're like that dog, Tommy. Every time you flash your money around, you're a bitch in heat, and everyone in that club is now looking to fuck you. And once you get fucked, you're no good to us. Do you understand?
You made your point.
Good. Because you need to think about your career here. Look, Paulie's hit his ceiling. He's the guy we want in a tussle, but he's not smart enough to run anything. Sam is loyal, but he has no vision. But you, Tommy, you could run this town someday.
Well, I appreciate that, Frank. So, what happened to the dog?
The Dawn tried to drown her. I broke his nose. You can let me off here.
Money doesn't make you powerful. Discretion does. Flashing money feels good because it signals success. It tells the world, I made it. But psychologically, it also paints a target on your back. The more visible your wealth, the more people project onto it. Expectations, resentment, and jealousy. And not all threats wear masks. Some come as friends with ideas. Some come as bad investments dressed as opportunities. Some come as lifestyle inflation that quietly traps you. Frank's advice wasn't about fear. It was about control. Smart money moves quietly. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need applause. When you invest instead of flash, you're doing three powerful things at once. First, you're delaying gratification, which strengthens long-term thinking. That alone separates builders from spenders. Second, you're reducing psychological pressure. When people don't know what you have, they can't emotionally tax you for it. Third, you're buying future freedom, not present validation. People who want to look rich spend money to feel successful now. The real rich use money as a tool to make more money later. Every dollar invested is literally your freedom fighter. And here's the key mindset shift. Money is not for showing who you are. Money helps you to go where you're going. Frank understood something modern gurus rarely say out loud. The goal isn't to look rich, it's to stay alive, flexible, and untouchable. So enjoy your money, yes. Live the good life, take care of yourself, but don't let your lifestyle announce your balance sheet. Because the world doesn't reward the loudest winner. It rewards the one who lasts.
Oftentimes the places that get you the most dough are the ones most people don't look at twice.
Lesson 2. Imagine yourself at your own funeral. After the bar fight that left Billy Gilotti dead and his friend Johnny still breathing, the Salieri family felt heat crawling up their necks. The counselor's son lying cold in a coffin meant trouble far above street level. Salieri split the cleanup into two missions. Sam would attend Billy's funeral to finish off Johnny, while Tommy would blow up the Corleone Hotel, where a manager had double-crossed the family, and silence a young woman named Michelle who knew too much.
What kind of world is it that when you screw up, you get sent to a cat house? Well, I have to clean up your mess at a funeral. You see the justice in that?
I see a job I gotta do.
Such a professional.
Tommy carried out the plan like a professional until the moment he saw Michelle cry. Something human in her stopped his finger from tightening on the trigger. Following Sam's request, he gave her cash to disappear, a quiet mercy that would haunt him later. The explosion ripped through the night, drawing the entire Lost Heaven police force. Tommy sprinted across rooftops under gunfire before ducking into an old church for cover. That's when fate twisted the knife. The church was hosting Billy Gilotti's funeral. Tommy hid behind pillars while the priest spoke about souls finding peace. Then Johnny saw him. Gunfire shattered stained glass. Tommy shot back, killing to survive. When the smoke cleared, pews were splintered, and the priest's faith was shaking. For a moment, Tommy wasn't the hunter or the hunted, just a man staring at death everywhere except his own body. When Johnny rose again with a pistol, Sam burst in, firing first. Johnny fell beside Billy's coffin. The priest sank to his knees, praying amid the dead. Tommy offered money for the damage, and the priest refused. Outside, sirens swallowed prayer. He escaped, but something invisible died with him inside that church, his innocence. What stayed with him is the feeling of being so close to his own funeral.
Thanks again, Sam, for helping me out back there. I thought my time was up.
It's not anything you wouldn't do for me.
I know, but when you come that close to biting it, Christ, it's something.
Don't need to tell me about that. Just don't think about it. Best lesson I could ever teach you. Don't think about anything.
Nothing changes your view on wealth faster than staring down death. When you see how quickly it can all end, you stop confusing busy with important. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Money isn't life's scorecard. It's just time stored in another form. Spend it on what matters, or death will spend it for you. Most people live like they'll have decades to finally enjoy it. They save joy for later, believing security equals meaning. Tommy's moment in that church exposed the lie. Security without purpose is just a slower death. So live with death in mind. Let it simplify your spending and sharpen your choices. Ask yourself, if I only had 5 years left, would I still chase this purchase, this promotion, this proof? If not, stop paying for it with life you can't refund. Money well used creates peace. Money poorly used creates noise that keeps you from hearing how short life really is. You don't have to survive a gunfight to wake up. You just have to stop waiting for a wake-up call. Spend 30 seconds imagining your own funeral. What would you regret wasting energy on? What would you wish you would have given more to? That visualization rewires your brain's reward system, steering decisions toward contribution over consumption. Tommy didn't become moral overnight, but that night in the church planted perspective. No fortune buys another heartbeat. For us, honoring that truth means earning money in alignment with values we could eulogize. Lesson 3. Take risk and go all the way. The war between Salieri and Morello was eating the city. Streets that once buzzed with jazz now echoed with machine guns. Sergio Morello, the rival Don's brother, became the bullseye. Tommy was told to finish what others had bungled. He started with a car bomb, but the poor lady stepped into the car. The explosion took an innocent woman instead. The guilt hit him harder than any beating could.
I just never want to be in that street again.
What street?
On my knees, watching some poor skirt burn just because she got in our way.
When guilt turns to fury, decisions get dangerous. Tommy, Sam, and Polly track Sergio to a diner. The hit was supposed to be clean. Instead, it was chaos. Civilians screaming, bullets flying, Sergio using a waitress as a shield. The chase spun across the city, through alleys and docks, until they both ran out of bullets. Tommy burned Sergio alive in a corner of exploding barrels. No applause, no triumph, just smoke and a bitter smell of victory. But the war wasn't done. Don Morello himself surfaced, desperate to reclaim his fading power. Salieri saw the moment and sent his best killers to make history. Tommy's car chased Morello through Lost Heaven.
Jeez, these guys don't give up! Neither do we. We're taking this all the way.
Until the gangster reached the Lost Heaven airfield. Morello's plane warmed on the runway. As it lifted off, Tommy ordered Sam behind the wheel, leaned out, and emptied the drum of his Tommy gun into the engines. Flames guttered. The plane spiraled over rooftops, crashing in a vacant lot.
Morello's not gonna walk away from a plane crash.
That's a maybe. But he ain't dead till we seen him dead.
Stay alert with your guns close. We've come too far to get lazy at the end.
They approached the wreckage, coughing smoke. Morello crawled from the cockpit like an undead zombie, shaking in debilitating pain. Tommy looked down, gun in hand. He pulled the trigger until silence. At Salieri's bar later, the Don studied an old photo of himself, Morello, and their mentor, Don Pepone. Three brothers, once united by ideals, turned to ashes. He didn't smile, he just whispered.
See you on the other side, Marco.
Risk is the gatekeeper between who you are and who you could be. But there's a difference between bold and blind. Tommy kept winning because he bet on skill. Then he started betting on luck, and that's when luck stopped showing up. The same happens in business, investing, even relationships. Once ego gets involved, risk turns from ladder to cliff. The healthy kind of risk pushes growth. You learn, you stretch, you earn. The toxic kind feeds reputation. You chase approval, push too far, and bleed for attention. Before you make any big move, pause for a breath. Ask, am I trying to grow or trying to prove? That one question separates entrepreneurs from gamblers, leaders from losers. Calculated risk rewards the disciplined. Reckless risk rewards the house. Keep audacity in your heart and humility in your pocket. Play for keeps, not for ego. The irony? Avoiding all risk is riskier still. Without discomfort, there is no expansion. The secret is measured daring. Your personal version of chasing a flaming plane, but knowing when to holster the gun. Tommy went all the way, not because he wanted that, but because he couldn't conceive a halfway life. So adopt the Mafia spirit. Take calculated risk, go all the way, and don't stop until the job is finished. Lesson 4. Be hungry for the good life, but know when is enough.
After that night with Salieri's guys, I was back working as soon as I could. But it felt different.
Got any good fares today?
Yeah, some. But never enough of them. That was when I saw the cost. What it meant to be on the inside. I should have took off there and then. But I couldn't go back to being a nobody.
Tommy's hunger came naturally as a result of scarcity. His father's back had broken under factory labor and worked to his death. His mother's hands rough from scrubbing strangers' floors. Poverty humiliated them so deeply that Tommy equated money with dignity. Under Salieri, he tasted the opposite life. Tailored suits, fine cigars, the ease of power.
If you stay straight with me, you're gonna be living the high life now. But you abuse my trust.
Don Salieri, you won't ever need to worry about me.
By 1932, Tommy had grown into his new skin. He wasn't a desperate cab driver anymore. He was the guy who could walk into any restaurant in town and have the best table waiting. The problem was that comfort comes with cravings.
Dry your tears with water hundreds, do you?
I wasn't about to give up the good life, I know that.
When a cigar shipment got seized by the feds, Salieri sent Tommy, Polly, and Sam to steal it back. A simple job, no high-stakes drama. But when they cracked the crate open, what rolled out wasn't cigars, it was narcotics. The Don had crossed the line he once swore he would never touch. That realization hit Tommy like cold water. If even Salieri changed the rules for more profit, then maybe there was no such thing as enough in this business. On the train ride home, Polly started talking about escape. One last job, the Grand Imperial Bank. It sounded like freedom dressed up as danger. Tommy wasn't sure, but hunger can whisper louder than doubt. After years of living by someone else's orders, a piece of him wanted to prove he could write his own story. The robbery that followed was flawless. Mask, fought, get away. Wealth finally lay in their hands, more than they could spend in a lifetime. Yet the following morning, that same money burned like a fever. Sarah's questions, Tommy's restlessness, and the sharp silence of having everything you thought you wanted. The hunger that built Tommy's success was the same hunger, now twisting into paranoia. The difference between a meal and poison, he realized, was knowing when to stop eating.
But then I got to thinking about something. What good was all of Morello's money if it couldn't protect him from a regular Joe like me? Cabbie, for Christ's sake. It only got him one thing. A great big bullseye in his fucking forehead. And that thought, it just kept turning round and round in my head until one day, I'm looking in a mirror. I start seeing a bullseye too. Right here.
Hunger isn't your enemy, it's your fuel. Without it, no one creates, learns, or climbs. The key is learning to drive it instead of letting it drive you. If you want a better house, a fancy car, more security, more dream projects, good. That desire is proof that you are still alive. Hunger keeps you moving when motivation runs out. The danger starts when appetite turns into obsession, when more replaces meaning. Here's how to use it instead of getting used by it. Feed it with purpose, not ego. Decide why you want more money or success. Freedom, security, impact. If the reason excites your soul instead of your status, your hunger will stay clean. Translate desire into daily discipline. Hunger by itself is noise. Channel it into skill building, saving, or investing habits you repeat automatically. Passion that isn't structured becomes burnout. Schedule satisfaction. The hungriest people forget to pause. Write real breaks into your routine. Dinners without phones, small celebrations for hitting goals. Gratitude cools the obsession before it cooks your joy. Re-evaluate your enough. Every 6 months, ask yourself, if I lost everything but still had this, would I feel okay? That question keeps greed in check and hunger productive. Tommy's story shows both sides. His hunger lifted him from taxis to tailored suits. But once he stopped steering it, it took the wheel and crashed everything he loved. So stay hungry. Yes, hungry to learn, to lead, to live wider than yesterday. But pair it with humility and gratitude. Maybe it's time to redefine the concept of wealth. Stop treating money as the finish line and start treating it as fuel for freedom. Use it to buy time, simplicity, and flexibility. Paulie thought one huge score would set him free. What he didn't realize is that peace isn't found in the size of the score. It's in knowing what you actually value.
You're not built for the domestic life, Bobby. 6 months in, you'll put a bullet in your brain out of boredom.
Money can buy you comfort, but only self-awareness can buy contentment. Learning your enough point is the highest financial intelligence. You find a moment when incremental income stops improving emotional well-being. Then redirect surplus toward freedom, time, creativity, family, rest. Money should serve as a utility, not an identity. It should buy back your hours, not consume them. To be truly rich is to live unafraid of enough. Lesson 5. Family is forever. Be loyal to your real family, not the boss.
Then I'm going to only ask you for one more thing, Tommy. They're here because they have the only thing that matters to me. The only thing that should matter to any of us. You know what that is, Tommy?
They're loyal.
After the bank job, everything fell apart. Sarah sensed it first. Tommy's unease, the shadows creeping behind his calm.
Tom, don't do nothing you don't want to be remembered for, you hear me?
Probably too late for that.
When he went to Paulie's apartment that morning, he found the door ajar and the floor red. His friend was gone, executed for the very money they had hoped would free them. A phone rang. Sam's voice came through, tight and practiced. He lured Tommy to meet up and promised to repay his debt. At the art gallery, truth finally showed its face. The Don had ordered it. The loyalty Tommy had bled for was just paperwork now. The shootout that followed ended with both men broken, Sam dying surrounded by shattered glass and paintings of paradise. The death of art. All their years of brotherhood reduced to dust.
You think you're doing this because you're loyal, but you're not. You're just scared.
Tommy walked away with nothing but clarity. Salieri's family had never been a family. The people who truly loved him were at home, waiting, and they were the only ones worth saving. Years later, Tommy aged into softness. He watched his daughter marry, thinking maybe redemption has stuck. But peace in this world rarely comes without a bill. Decades later, watering his lawn in Empire Bay, two iconic characters of Mafia 2 got out of their car and approached. They asked,
Mr. Angelo?
He nodded,
Yes.
already knowing
Mr. Salieri
the
sends
past
cigars.
had arrived with a smile and a shotgun. As he fell, Sarah's scream echoed across the yard. Tommy looked at his family, the real one, and whispered his final truth.
Remember that money, jobs, even best pals will come and go. But family is forever.
Every empire will replace you, no matter how loyal you are. Every company, every boss, every system will eventually move on without you. That's why your loyalty must start at home. Make time your love language. Refuse to trade the people who clap for you in private for the ones who only notice you when you are winning. Build family equity, dinners without phones, weekends without guilt, presents without agenda. Those deposits pay dividends that no currency matches. We all say we are doing it for the family, but Tommy's story proves the trap. When you sacrifice every moment with them to protect people who would sell you tomorrow, you're not doing it for your family. You're doing it instead of them.
But at night, you lie awake, wondering what he and Adam were whispering about behind the bar. Wondering if your best friend is hungry enough to betray you.
Use ambition to provide, not to disappear. Earn money so you can return home earlier, not later. At the end of your life, no one remembers your revenue. They remember how safe you made them feel. Protect that wealth first. Because in the end, how much left in the bank accounts don't matter. It's even okay to die with zero. What matters is your stories, and the richest legacy is the one told at your own dinner table. Tommy's final breath proved paradoxical wisdom. What began as weakness, his love for wife and child, became strength greater than any empire. Family turned a criminal's ending into redemption's beginning. Tommy Angelo's life is more than crime fiction. It's a mirror, a man chasing security until he learns what he was really chasing was peace. Frank taught him not to flash wealth. A church taught him mortality. War taught him the price of ego. Comfort taught him the illusion of enough. And betrayal taught him that family is the only fortress that matters. So use your skills, earn well, take risks that count, but never forget the point of all of it. Because money buys things, wisdom buys time, and love, real love, that's the only investment that never loses value. Thank you for watching.